Thank you so much for staying with us as we continue with our double header of our program. So in this segment of the program, for the rest of the program, I should say, we're concentrating on concerns that have been raised about a constitutional amendment that extends the retirement age of the Director of Public Prosecutions and Auditor General. And the concerns have mainly focused, on the extension to the retirement age of the Director of Public Prosecutions, because the current DPP has already had an extension beyond the retirement age. We're going to be speaking to representatives of Jamaicans for Justice, as well as the Jamaican Bar Association and King's Counsel Peter Champagny. First, though, earlier today I spoke with the Justice Minister, Delroy Chuck. Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with you on All Angles. I'm Dion Jacksmiller. In this segment of the program, concerns continue to mount about a constitutional amendment to extend the retirement age of the Director of Public Prosecutions and the Auditor General. Joining me now, we have Justice Minister Delroy Chuck. Mr. Minister, as always, thank you so much for talking to us. Now,
good evening, Dion. Good evening to you and your listeners and your viewers.
Over the past few days, Mr. Chuck, Jamaicans for Justice, the Advocates Network, constitutional expert Dr. Lloyd Barnett, National Integrity Action, the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, and the Jamaican Bar Association have all expressed concerns about the way the constitutional amendment was passed, without notice, without consultation. In light of all these concerns coming from a range of groups, including people who are experts in legal issues and constitutional issues, in governance issues, is the government still insisting it was right?
Absolutely, Dion. Truth of the matter is that the recommendation to increase the ages of the DPP and the Auditor General from 60 to 65 was made from 2016, when the Pension Act was being before me at Legislation Committee. The point is that there are two posts, the DPP and the Auditor General, whose age of retirement could not be increased without a constitutional amendment. From then, we recognize that the constitutional amendment had to be done. It's a bit late, but it's better late than never. And this bill that was passed in the House and the Senate really gave effect to that recommendation. Now, the question is that it's a very simple amendment, as I said in Parliament, and it has three set clauses. And the clause 1 is merely citing the Act. Clause 2 and 3 simply raise the age from 60 to 65 for both the DPP and the Auditor General. It's not a complicated bill. Clause 49 of the Constitution allows us to do so. The point is that it is a policy decision which came from the last administration.
Two issues following on what you just said, Minister. JAMBAR, the Jamaican Bar Association, said in its statement, quote, to describe the amendment as simple, as was done by the Justice Minister, is reflective of the scant regard for the weighty matters that arise from the amendments in question and a parliamentary majority which guarantees a planned outcome regardless on the undesirability and potential unconstitutionality of the process. Those are strong words from Jambar, and even with that, that gives the government no pause.
Well, I'm disappointed that Jambar could even say so, because there's nothing we have done which is not in accordance with the Constitution. The position is that Section 96.1 and 121.1 allow us to be able to pass it by a simple majority in Parliament, and this is exactly what we did.
But
nothing
Minister,
is unconstitutional about that.
But Minister, as you yourself would know as counsel, what might seem to be simple constitutional amendments aren't always straightforward. So when the government tried to pass the bills to remove the Privy Council as Jamaica's final court of appeal and replace it with the Caribbean Court of Justice, on the surface, it looked as simple as you're describing now. But when that was challenged all the way up to the Privy Council invoked a number of constitutional principles to say, no, You can't do it that way. You need 2/3 majority in each house. Are you not concerned that you might be treading the same ground here?
I was in the House when that was done. I indicated you can remove Section 110 by a simple majority, but you could not put in a new court, and that is what the case went to the Privy Council on. And the Privy Council ruled, yes, you can remove the Privy Council, but you couldn't put the Caribbean Court of Justice into the Constitution by that process. Now, this is a simple question of raising the age from 60 to 65. There's no need for debate. You can debate it, yes, but it was your policy. It was the opposition policy in 2015. In fact, they tabled a bill on the 24th of November 2015, and it fell off the table, and we took it over when we came to power, and I was Minister of Justice from March. We went to Legislation Committee, where we adopted the policy of the opposition. Minister, it's a simple policy of moving person from 60 to 65 retirement age.
Minister, you notice that I deliberately did not quote the opposition in that long list of groups I mentioned who had concerns about this process, precisely to take the partisan issue out of it. And their concerns, for instance, you said there are no constitutional issues involved here. There are concerns that by passing an amendment that gives the existing office holder, that is the existing DPP, a benefit, that you are in fact compromising the integrity of the office, the independence of the office, and that therefore there are this and other constitutional principles which are brought in here. Have those been considered at all?
I think those are highly speculative and quite unfortunate. It's not only the DPP, it is also the Auditor General. Either of them can go to 65, or, as we provide for in the bill, they can retire once they reach age 60 and any time thereafter. Neither offices and I have had any discussion about this bill. We have just done what was recommended in 2016 and before. And it is those who have taken vitriolic and speculative comments against the office of the DPP who are imputing and politicizing the professional role of the present DPP.
Again, Minister, I specifically quoted groups like Jambar, who with respect you cannot possibly accuse of vitriol or any personal attacks. They go out of their way to laud the work of Ms. Llewellyn, but point to the concerns they have. But having said that, speaking of Jambar, they have asked the government not to apply this amendment and therefore an extension of tenure to the current DPP. Jamaicans for Justice also has done, and the Advocates Network. What is the government's thinking on this?
It's no longer in the government's hand, Dion. The law having been passed and assented to by the Governor General, it is out of the government's hand. It is a matter for the Auditor General and the DPP whether they want to go to 65. I have had no discussion with either of them whether they want to go to 65. It is totally in their hands now.
Well, you say it's out of the government's hands, but that is because you are ignoring all the calls to, as we used to say in primary school, cry cree, while the concerns were being expressed. And Jambar says, going back to the Jambar statement, should the government reject this eminently reasonable request, it risks widespread public distrust of both offices of the Director of Public Prosecutions and the Auditor General. That is a risk no responsible government should seek to assume. And yet, your government is seeking to assume that risk.
Absolutely no one before this bill had any complaints against the DPP. For one reason or another, the opposition in Parliament raised certain issues, quite speculative, quite unbecoming to raise those issues. And all of a sudden, other groups are taking it on and attacking the present DPP and her office in a vitriolic and most unprofessional manner. I have found this DPP in all and witnessed her work. She's professional. Her integrity is unquestionable. And as far as I can see, she has an unblemished character. So why are people attacking her? She has done nothing to date which suggests that she can be manipulated or influenced. And therefore, I expect that she will continue to perform her work professionally without fear or favor, and certainly not be influenced by anyone, whether opposition, government, or anyone at all.
Again, I notice that you're deliberately ignoring all the concerns coming from people who have made a point of not attacking her. I'm nearly out of time, though. Do you accept that the government's approach to this matter has been damaging to the office of the DPP?
Not at all. We have not had any discussion with the DPP or the Auditor General. Is it damaging to the Auditor General's office?
I'm sure.
I suspect not. So why the DPP?
As I'm sure you know, Mr. Chuck, the two are not in the same position. The DPP has already had an extension. This amendment would, in effect, give her another extension, which would not have been permitted before. So the two are not on the same level in terms of the concerns that are being expressed.
I repeat, Leon, all we have done is to allow the option to be available to the DPP and the Auditor General, just like all public sector workers, to retire at 65. When you look at the Constitution, the Clerk of Parliament can go to 65. Judges can go to 70. Virtually all public sector workers, including personnel in the office of the DPP and the Auditor General, can go to 65. What is so unusual about the DPP going to 65? I think she's a professional, and I really hope she take advantage to go to 65, because I think she's doing an outstanding job.
Have to leave it there. Appreciate your time as always, Mr. Minister.
Thank you, Dion.
Stay tuned. We'll be back after the break. Remember our hashtag, it's TVJ All Angles. Remember our WhatsApp line as well. It's WhatsApp line, that's 3810072. Give us your first name, give us your general location. Soon come.